It's time to pick a side. The border war is on the air with BG and TanMan.
This is episode 68 of the Border War. I'm the TanMan. I'm joined on my left by BG.
Third show of the week.
This is the third show of the week.
First time ever in Border War history, unlike some sports prognosticators, we cover all three of your major sports every time they're relevant. And it is officially October, TanMan, the best sports month of the year.
Second best sports month of the year.
No.
Second.
March
No.
is the second best sports month of the year. March is famous for having one sport going on, man. We've got football, we've got basketball, we've got baseball. Come on, man. No.
But it's the best sport. Anyway, we're going to talk some NBA basketball here on this one, episode 68. Our NBA preview episode. I have been waiting to do this. BG has not. He has not let me talk any basketball.
I haven't prevented you from talking.
You have said no.
You're a fool.
You have not let me.
He's a fool.
I finally busted out and got it on the itinerary. And let's start with our team, BG. The Charlotte Hornets, right up the road from us. A lot of big changes this season. This is not going to be, for better or for worse, the Charlotte Hornets team is going to be different.
We don't know still really what the philosophy behind it is. I suspect that's what we're really going to be talking about the whole time today, despite the details we might get into. But the question sort of remains out there. What are the Hornets' long-term plans? Now, you could say everybody's long-term plan is to win an NBA title, but what is the strategy? Is it with none of the veteran players they have now? Is it with some of the veteran players they have now? Or are the veteran players simply bargaining chips for future draft picks so they can build around the young kids like Malik Monk and Miles Bridges from the last couple of drafts? I mean, we don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
And I think all of those questions revolve around one guy, and that's Kemba Walker.
Yeah. Some changes that you, I'm sure, know about, but we'll go over. Steve Clifford, the defensive whiz that he was, he is out as head coach. He's replaced by Spurs assistant James Borrego. He brings along with him Tony Parker. They go out and make the big trade to bring back former first-round pick Bismack Biyombo. The rim protector from the Congo is back in the Queen City.
All $17 million.
Oh, my goodness. And Miles Bridges, of course, the rookie out of Michigan State, he joins in. BG, you've heard that this team at Borrego wants him to play faster. He wants him to play faster. He's setting the shot clock at 12 seconds in practice. He wants shots going up. Last year, I questioned that a little bit. Last year, this team played at the ninth fastest pace in the league. They were top 10 in three-pointers attempted last year. He wants that number to go up from 27 to about 34, 35, he said. 34, 35 puts them right behind the Rockets.
Right.
As it's like the second or third most in the league. I don't know. But like I said, they attempted.
Well, I think some of that is his philosophy, and some of it is, I think, him admitting what the Hornets' weaknesses are right now, and that's that they really don't have much of an inside game.
I disagree, and we'll get to that. Who holds the key to you to the season? If the Charlotte Hornets are going to have a successful season, what's the key to it? Well, in your opinion,
I've got a couple of possibilities here. I thought long and hard about this. Neither one of us, I hope, is going to say, I hope Kemba Walker plays really well. Because he's going to.
That's a given.
Kemba Walker's going to be an all-star, so we have to look for players that are sort of borderline. My first thought is that I think Michael Kidd-Gilchrist needs to have a year, and I don't mean on the offensive side of the ball. I think he needs to live up to his defensive potential. Hornets lost a lot of close ball games last year, and what did we say? They were about 3 to 4 wins off the pace for the 8th seed in the East.
It wasn't much.
It wasn't much. And, there have been teams to make it in at 40 wins. Now, let's be honest here. Before we start any of this, the Hornets are a long way from being a contender at all. But if you don't think they're a bubble playoff team, you're not paying attention. And not in the NBA, not in the East, not in today's East especially. So that was one of my thoughts, that Kidd-Gilchrist needs to really have a great defensive year. especially if they're going to be pushing that ball, because that's going to give the other team that many possessions too. Secondly, and you're not going to like this. You don't even like me mentioning this guy, but I've heard some possibilities that Batum may be moving back to his original small forward spot. If he goes back to the 3 spot, do you think that impacts any of his poor play over the last couple of seasons and kind of returns him to, his rookie year, which showed some promise? I agree. Could he be a real important player?
To me, what holds the key to this season, and it's going to tap onto exactly what you just said, it's that shooting guard position. Right now, it looks like Jeremy Lamb is going to be the shooting guard. They're going to move Batum to the 3. Marvin Williams is going to start at the 4, and Cody Zeller is going to be the 5. Last year, Kemba Walker averaged 22 points a game. Between Batum and Jeremy Lamb, they combined to average just 30. So just a little more than Kemba Walker. I think that's the key to the season, that shooting guard spot. And when you're going to play Batum, if you're going to play Batum and Jeremy Lamb together, to me, that's kind of like, double the it's double the fun.
Right.
They're going to put them both out there together. I think Kid Gilchrist is an interesting piece because if they go with this lineup where they move Batum back to small forward, that's going to push Kid Gilchrist probably to the bench running with that second unit. And right. I think they're going to use him. When you have Miles Bridges that you just drafted, I think that's going to push Kid Gilchrist into like this super ultra switchable 4-spot guy. And
we've found out, the Raptors being the most famous example, but that 6 man can be equal in minutes to a lot of your starters in today's NBA. It's almost like a 6-man game now.
Yep. And so when you're looking at a second unit, last year when Kemba Walker and the starters would come off the bench, they're trotting Michael Carter-Williams out there, and that second unit was just tanked, man. They could not do anything. This year, so far, at least in the preseason, they're running Tony Parker out there with those guys. So you're talking about running Malik Monk out there, Miles Bridges, maybe Kid Gilchrist. Like I said, him and Kaminsky playing that 4. Kaminsky maybe a little 5. And then the guy that I've really been impressed with, and I mentioned him when we talked about the Summer League. Watched him in the preseason game the other night with the Miami Heat that they played. Billy Hernan-Gomez. There were times in Vegas when Hernan-Gomez looked like he was the best player out there. Last night, he was doing everything. He's blocking shots. He's rebounding. This guy, he was an all-rookie. He was a first-team all-rookie player his rookie year in New York. Hernan-Gomez is a guy who came to Charlotte kind of looking to restart his career after things just kind of went sideways up there. I think he is going to be an amazing piece off that bench for the Hornets.
Where you bring up rebounds there with Gomez, but let me ask you a question here. Where are the rebounds on the Hornets going to come from? And that's why I question their inside game. And here's what I'm thinking, right? Dwight Howard last year averaged 12.5 rebounds a game. The next highest player on the team is Cody Zeller, who probably will start at the 5. Averaged 5.4 rebounds a game. Those rebounds are going to have to come from somewhere. They lose a lot of size inside. If you're shooting 35 threes a game, you need some second chances.
If you're shooting that many threes a game, your rebounds, it's going to have to be a team effort. Some of these guys that are a little smaller are going to have to rebound their position.
Miles Bridges has the potential to rebound.
Miles Bridges
he's a physical
can do
player.
that. He's a physical player. I think Kid Gilchrist can get in there. I think he's going to be able to get some, because you shoot long shots, you're going to get long rebounds.
And you're going to get violent rebounds. They're not going to just drop down off the rim.
Yep. So these guys are not going to be down there banging. You mentioned Dwight Howard. He did. He played well. Statistically, Howard was a very good player in Charlotte last year.
He looked better on paper than he looked by the eye.
But just something about him being out there, he clogged up the lane. It seemed like he just kind of clogged up the lane. So Batum was standing out there jacking up threes. The offense didn't flow. It was almost like he's just basically grinding the offense down to a halt.
Is it not just a symptom of today's NBA offense, man? It's hard to find a place to put a big guy these days.
Yeah, and to me, and the biggest thing, and they've all said all the right things now that he's gone. But you could tell, there were some serious chemistry issues with that bunch.
Dwight, whatever else he is, he grinds on everybody.
Yeah,
he grinds on everybody. We thought Steve Clifford would be able to mitigate some of that. He wasn't there for half the season with health issues, so maybe that was some of it. But whatever, he's gone now.
But so Howard's gone. I think that's going to free things up for him a little bit. You watch this team early, and I'm telling you, it just feels like a different group of dudes. It's a lot of the same dudes, but it just feels like there's a weight lifted off of them almost. They're having fun out there. They like one another. They like being around one another.
And they continue to have the best uniforms in the NBA.
Yeah, I think this is a fun team, man.
So not to put a cloud on this, but here come these two ugly words, right?
Mm-hmm.
Free agency. Look, the Hornets, Walker is an obvious question. He's an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season. Quick answer, yes or no, do the Hornets trade him before the February 8th deadline?
Quick answer, no.
Okay, I agree with you.
Quick answer, no.
But they're going to lose him. They're not going to pay him, are they? Are they going to pay him?
Walker gets me. If this team just totally bombs in the first half of the season.
And you're right. That'll have a lot to do with it.
Which I don't think they will. But if they bomb in the first half of the season, then that changes. If they don't, no, they don't trade him. And yes, I think they pay him.
Okay.
I think they pay him. I think he comes back. Because
then somebody's leaving because Biyombo, like you said, just joined $17 million contract. Williams, $15 million contract. Kid Gilchrist with a $13 million contract. And I'm not even going to get into Nick Batum. Okay, so we're not keeping everybody and paying Kemba Walker. So
guys make a lot of money in the NBA. In the NBA front offices, guys make a lot of money to do the funny math and figure out how to get around that stuff. You know, you've got the stretch and waive provision where you can waive a guy and then stretch his salary out over a handful of years. There are always teams. I'm not sure. I don't have it in front of me what the links on some of these contracts are, but if you've got a guy who's overpaid, there are always teams looking to take on those contracts to free up money later. But short answer. Yes, Kemba Walker stays a Hornet, and I'm starting to lean more towards he stays a Hornet for at least 5 more years.
Well, we would both love that. I like Kemba on and off the court. We're very good friends. I saw a great...
How come you've never introduced me to Kemba Walker?
I've tried. I disguised meeting Kemba Walker as a Dungeons and Dragons game, and you showed no interest.
No, that's not true.
Oh, don't talk about David the Gnome.
That is not true.
Don't talk about David.
I tried to come and play with you.
You said you wanted to be David the Gnome and cast friendship on everyone. That's the okay.
That's not a thing. Listen. We've got plenty of time.
We're losing listeners. I can hear them clicking the X.
You gave me a book, and answer the question. Was friendship a spell?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
How the Charlotte Hornets, they return to the playoffs this season if blank. What has to happen for the Hornets to get back into the postseason?
Well, I mean, I sort of come back to what we were just talking about. I think Nick Batum has to get out of – he has to contribute to this team. I mean, he was, like you said, he just felt like a guy that was out there. There were times last year when it felt like there were 4 guys playing offense and he was just there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like you said, maybe some of that isn't his fault. I think we need him, Kid Gilchrist. They need to be names that we mention positively 2 times out of 3 games when we're reviewing it on the Border War, if that's the case. But let's keep in mind, this is not the same East, right? The Cleveland Cavaliers maybe have become the worst team in the East. Okay, the Hornets have moved up a slot. Last year's team probably makes the playoffs this year. I don't see any reason why this year's team, if the Hornets don't make the playoffs, and I really feel like they should be a 6 or a 7 seed, I think it's a huge disappointment. I really think they should, just based off the talent they have there now.
I agree with you. I think people are sleeping on this Charlotte Hornets team. They have become a popular whipping boy in big picture NBA circles.
I saw a great
No one
quote.
Really wants to give them any credit, but
great
I think
quote
this team
today. Every analysis I read the past 2 days has them picked to either finish 3rd or 4th in their division. Okay, which could be right. 3rd isn't an outlandish idea. That sounds about right. I mean, whatever a division in the NBA is. I don't know why that... To me, the pick is what seed you think they'll be in the playoffs or not. But where did they end up last year? 9th? 10th?
Something like that.
Okay. I saw a great quote today. It said, "This is how you can tell if you're a good basketball team. If you win more games with the Hornets, you're a good basketball team. If you lose more games than the Hornets, you're not." Meaning, the Hornets are just a litmus test. They aren't even a team. They are the definition of middle of the pack. But I'm like you. I think we thought they were going to take a step forward last year with the changes in the front office. Man, I do. I think this team is poised to be competitive.
I think the Hornets, if they can get, I just mentioned it, production out of that second unit, because so far I cannot say how, I cannot impress upon you how impressed I've been with Miles Bridges so far in the preseason.
And this needs to be the year. We haven't said his name a lot, but Malik Monk needs to take a step up now. It's time.
Listen, Malik Monk, we talked about it one time. I brought it up one time last year talking about him. He's kind of in this purgatory area.
Does it feel like it's his rookie year again, though?
Well, they sent him to the G League. He played like one game. He scored like 30 points. And like, oh, okay. So they bring him back up. And he just kind of floated around out there. He's got to get bigger. You remember, these guys coming in out of college now, they're staying for a year, which means they've only been out of high school. By the time they get to an NBA practice gym, they've been out of high school for a year and a half. Their bodies are not fully developed. And so he's got to get stronger and be able to handle the grind a little more. But he's part of that second unit that I mentioned. If they can come in and give the first unit some break and not relinquish leads like they did last year, I think the Hornets will make the playoffs if that happens. I think they'll probably make the playoffs anyway. One interesting note, looking at their schedule, though, the back end, the last month, 19 games, 16 of those games, I looked it up, are against teams that should be or are going to be in the playoffs, jockeying for playoff position.
So don't judge them harshly up front.
So the back end of that schedule, the very end of their schedule is going to be a monster. Yep. It's going to be a monster if they're going to make the playoffs. A couple of the storylines before we get into answering some key questions from around the NBA. A storyline I'm interested to see. I've got two that I'm really keeping my eye on. One is in Toronto with Kawhi Leonard. He spent all those years in San Antonio with Greg Popovich as his coach.
And his strange laugh.
But the respect that Popovich commands when he walks in the room, now he's in Toronto, different situation.
Speaking of a team that gets no respect.
You're right. And a first-time head coach and Nick Nurse, how that Kawhi Leonard and Nick Nurse relationship plays out, will be interesting to see. And basically, the future of the Toronto Raptors franchise depends on it. The other one, in Cleveland, of course, LeBron James, he's gone now. I think they've still got some talented.
Tristan Thompson says that they're the defending Eastern Conference champions and that they're going to shock the world.
Well, look, I think they've still got talented basketball players there. George Hill can play a little bit. Tristan Thompson, they've still got Kevin Love.
This was not the bell you were ringing during the playoffs last year.
Colin Sexton, I like the Colin Sexton ad. I'm interested to see whether or not that team totally tanks.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. Because what do you really expect from them?
Whether or not they totally tank, or
a 5 seed,
or in the East. Because again,
it is the East.
It's the East. It's not the West. In the East, if that team is able to cobble enough together, and I'm interested to see if Colin Sexton at some point takes over as a starting point guard, which I expect he will. If that team is able to play a little more freely without having the pressures of having a LeBron James on your team, because there is pressure. I mean, it's not easy with LeBron on your team, and the Lakers are going to find that out. But how they play without that LeBron cloud over them.
Find it interesting that neither of your fascinating storylines have anything to do with the West, whereas the only place that actually matters.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got one Eastern Conference storyline and one Western. Which one do you want?
Surprise me.
Okay, I'm going to start in the West then.
Okay.
Couple of big names here that are going to be unrestricted free agents next offseason. PG-13, Paul George, DeMarcus Cousins. Okay? What happens with them? Like, do their teams commit to them? We know Paul George likes it.
Huh.
And Cousins, of course, I mean, what's the long-term outlook for him in Oakland at Golden State?
Well, he's certainly not playing for $5.5 million next year, wherever the mid-level exception was that he accepted to go out there.
No.
So I think Cousins is going to move on somewhere next year. I don't think he's going to play for at least the first portion of the year. If I'm looking for Golden State storyline, I'm more interested in what they do with Kevin Durant and how Kevin Durant's impending free agency is handled through the season. Because you saw with LeBron James.
No, but there's whispers out there that there's a chance he leaves.
There's a chance he leaves.
There's a chance.
And you saw it with LeBron James. Every question he answered,
especially if he wins 3 rings.
Right.
I mean, it's okay.
Right. Exactly. It was every day with LeBron James. It's going to be every day with Kevin Durant too. Meanwhile, they're probably going to win 65 or 66 games. How that gets handled,
we'll go back to Golden State. But here's my question from the East: will the Celtics just dominate the East? Or did the 76ers step up and actually challenge and maybe even come out of the East? I mean, they're the 2 best teams, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we know that.
Well, as I said, the Celtics seem to be the general consensus best team in the East, yes.
I mean, I don't know the answer to that. We don't have to answer it now. But obviously in the East, that to me, it's kind of obvious, but that's the question that I think everybody sort of wants answered.
I think there are several teams in the East that are going to give Milwaukee's one. I think Indiana's one. I think Toronto's one. Philadelphia's one. A lot of people are just conceding the East to Boston already. But I think the East could be very, very entertaining. Much more entertaining than it's been, when it's been basically LeBron James and friends dragging to the finals.
Boston, a city that is having some sports success across the spectrum right now. Dominating all 3 conferences that they play in. I don't know how their hockey team is, and I don't care.
Well, I think their hockey team. I think the Bruins have won a Stanley Cup in the last few years.
Man, why not?
I know Washington won it last year, but
jumping out to Golden State. I mean, obviously the question is, what is there anything anybody can do to stop this?
Outside of Golden State, no. There's nothing anyone can do outside of Golden State.
Well, I mean,
to stop this.
The Rockets could have stopped it.
It could have.
Chris Paul stays healthy?
They could have. And the answer to that almost was, let's go out and sign DeMarcus Cousins for $5.5 million.
True enough.
No. I think the only thing that could derail Golden State, aside from a major injury, which I'm kind of tired of Golden State winning it and walking through every year, but I don't want anybody.
I would be tired of anybody winning it this many times.
I think the only thing that could stop Golden State is from within. Do they start getting, those questions about Durant's free agency, and Draymond Green has already turned down an extension because he's banking on a massive payday when he hits the market.
We've talked about for years that somebody's leaving Golden State probably in the next year.
Well, we said it. We thought it was Klay Thompson, and Klay Thompson has said, "No, I'm pretty happy just riding the train." So, like I said, if something from within starts to disrupt the chemistry that they have,
Cousins feels a little like Randy Moss in New England, though, doesn't he? I mean, I don't know that that's a long-term project.
No, I think that was a luxury purchase, so to speak. That's the term we're looking for. Luxury purchase.
Anybody else could have had it.
But as long as Steve Kerr is driving the boat, as long as he's the one in charge, I have a hard time seeing chemistry issues being a problem here. I think that thing's just kind of running.
And I mean, a lot of people always say, "Well, if you're tired of Golden State, did you get tired of Michael Jordan winning championships in Chicago?"
Bit.
Yes, I did.
A little bit, yeah,
I did. Just like I got tired of Mike Tyson. I
never got tired of Mike Tyson.
You know what? I'm lying. You're right.
Tyson was amazing.
That was really fun. I remember actually being depressed the night that Buster Douglas beat him. I might have cried a little. I never got tired of the Road Warriors either, right? Do you know the Road Warriors were never legitimately pinned in the ring?
I did not know that.
Not in the WCW NWA. I have no idea what happened when they went over to the Evil Empire.
Changed their name. What happened when they went north. Another interesting topic I've seen getting batted around on some of the preview shows. What's your? We know the All-Star game has switched up how they do the All-Star teams.
I like last year's format.
Well, that's what they've done. It's going to be the same deal.
But the fans are voting for the rosters, right?
Yeah. Last year, the two captains, of course, were LeBron and Steph. Well, LeBron's gone west now.
So it won't be that.
So I think LeBron's going to be the west captain.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. Who's your pick to be the east captain?
Well, it's strange that I just brought up pro wrestling because I've made this comparison before, right? That the NBA, not because it's fake, don't get me wrong. The NBA reminds me a little bit of pro wrestling because what other sport do you see the word storylines attached to so often, right? There are these plots in the NBA, rivalries, if you will. I think the fans literally manipulate this to make Kyrie and LeBron go up against each other.
That would be fascinating, especially if they
That's
have to
exactly what I think
especially
happens.
if they have to do the live pick teams.
I think
last year they did it under a cloak of secrecy.
Right. Whether or not Kyrie deserves it at that point, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he does, but I think I literally think there's that much awareness of that kind of stuff now, even among, the kids I work with, 5th, 6th, 4th graders, they all know about this stuff, man. The NBA is on the tip of every little kid's tongue. It's the sport they pay attention to.
I'm going. I'm going Joel Embiid.
Well, I thought about it.
Embiid is like the NBA's golden social media child.
I don't think picking him for MVP is a crazy thing.
No. But I think Embiid is definitely going to be your East captain. I think, if nothing else, he's going to Twitter bomb his way into votes and be in the East, and it's going to be him and LeBron. Rookie of the Year. A lot of.
I got 2 I can't pick.
I've got 5 and I can't decide. I've got DeAndre Ayton.
I got him.
Jackson from Memphis.
Right.
Jaren Jackson, Marvin Bagley, Colin Sexton, and Luka Doncic.
I know you love a Doncic.
I love Doncic. I want to say Sexton because
Trae Young.
No Trae Young. I want to say Sexton because
is it just because the Hawks are that bad?
They're not going to be good. I want to say Sexton because I think Cleveland's going to hang around that playoff spot, and by the time they get there, it's going to be Sexton running the show. But I'm going to go Jaren Jackson for my Rookie of the Year.
You know what?
He's fantastic.
I'm going to go with Doncic. You talked him up so much that I feel like if I don't win it, I can blame you, and there's nothing you can make fun of me for.
Did you see him the other night?
I did.
Oh, gosh.
He's an amazing player.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
And here's one, the MVP. To me, this is a fairly easy one. They're going LeBron. LeBron James, they've been, like they did with Michael Jordan, they didn't give it to Jordan just because they wanted to give it. They've done the same thing with LeBron. They've given it to other people just so he wouldn't win like 10 in a row. Now going to L.A., he's going to be the star of the show, and LeBron James wins the MVP.
I agree with you. I'm not going to pick him because, I figured one of us would, and I just can't be that guy right now with the NBA. I don't know quite as much about it as you do, unlike baseball where I am an expert.
Refer to episode 67 if you'd like to.
Unlike, in the NBA where everyone plays 7-game series right off the bat, none of this 5-game crap, okay? But I've got a reason for picking this, but I'm going to go with Kyrie Irving.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Kyrie because I think this might be the year things get a little mixed up in the NBA.
I like it. Playoff picks. Let's start out west. You want to? We'll start at the bottom. Who's your number 8 seed in the West?
I didn't even do that. I just really picked the finals.
Okay,
so you tell me what you think.
I've got New Orleans in the 8th spot. I think they played well without Cousins, and I think replacing Cousins.
They played better without
him. I think replacing Cousins with Julius Randle is maybe fits a little better.
Do we underestimate the influence of chemistry? We talked about Dwight Howard. I think in basketball it really matters. It matters on the NBA 2K. That chemistry rating, when it gets really high, you're really good.
When it's low.
Yeah.
But I don't like losing Rondo. I thought Rondo did a lot of good things for him.
Where is he right now?
He's with the Lakers.
I can't keep up. That's right. I remember that.
Got Drew Holiday.
They signed him like 2 days after LeBron, right?
But they've got Drew Holiday, Anthony Davis, and again they brought over Randall. So I think they're going to be back in the playoffs. In 7, I've got San Antonio, just because I think Pop is not going to not make the playoffs, and DeMar DeRozan's still pretty good.
But we're in the sunset.
In the 6, I've got Denver. Look, Denver's gone all in on their own guys. Jokic, Gary Harris, Jamal Murray is finally starting to come into his own. They barely missed the playoffs last year.
I'm assuming this means you don't think the Suns are going to make the playoffs at all.
The Suns will not make the playoffs. Not this year.
That surprises me a little. I thought you might have had them as your 8th seed.
In 5th, I've got Utah. In 4th, I've got Oklahoma City. In 3rd place, I've got the LA Lakers. I wasn't crazy about that Lakers pick, but
3rd seed.
I've got the Lakers going up to 3rd. In 2nd, I've got Houston. And I've got, of course, Golden State winning it, and I think Golden State's probably going to win somewhere in the neighborhood.
Tell me your thoughts on the Lakers being the 3rd seed. I mean, I want to know a little bit more about that because if I had done this, I wouldn't have put them. I would have probably put them about 5th.
Basically, just the LeBron factor.
Yeah,
I mean, I think going to
is
LA,
LeBron in the West different though than LeBron in the East?
I think. Look,
does the grind get to him a little bit more? He's no spring chicken, man. They're playing a lot of tough teams.
They are, and it's a much more difficult road. But let's not forget, this team won 35 or 36 games last year without LeBron James, with Lonzo Ball missing 30 games.
Okay.
And they've added Rondo.
Yes.
They've got some weird pieces.
They do.
But they've also got, I expect a big year from Kyle Kuzma. Brandon Ingram, I think Brandon Ingram is ready to explode. I like the young players that he's surrounding himself with. He's going to be re-energized, and I think they're going to have a big year.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but your take on LeBron going out there, period, is that this is more about post-basketball. Okay, so here's my question then. At his age, and you and I talked about this at the end of last season, that you thought, and I agreed with you, that there was a legitimate chance that we will never see LeBron win another title.
That's true.
If all that's said, I mean, is there a possibility that in the back of his mind, LeBron has already sort of started transitioning and that he's not going to be in the mood to actually do the things he did in Cleveland and run that locker room and bring young players along and deal with the ball relatives and all that stuff?
In Cleveland, he never really brought the young players along.
Yeah.
He jettisoned Andrew Wiggins as soon as he got there to bring in Kevin Love. He's always surrounded himself with older veteran guys. This is the first time he's ever really been around young guys.
Well, I guess I think though is at this stage in his career, is that going to frustrate him to the point that he's not going to really want to give it his all?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. You hear some of the
you got him in the 3 seed, so I guess not.
You hear some of the interviews that he has, and he seems, he signed a 4-year deal. I mean, he obviously wants to be there. He just seems very comfortable there. It looks like he enjoys being there. It looks like he enjoys being around the young guys. He's acknowledged that, yes, there are going to be some stretches where they don't play well.
Well, you heard his first comments after the first practice, because LeBron practicing was a headline.
Oh, it has lit off everything.
Yeah, but he just came out and said, man, that we are not Golden State. That's not the expectation here. Don't get it twisted.
Exactly.
That's not something you'd have ever heard him say in Cleveland or Miami.
No, I think he's accepted the fact.
Even though he knew they weren't Golden State, but he wouldn't have said it.
I think he's accepted the fact that, okay, I'm kind of playing a different game now.
Where do you think this fits in 5 years from now? Where does this fit in his legacy? What happens in L.A. over the next 5 seasons? Because realistically, that's as much as he's got left, right?
If they are able to bring somebody else out there with him, and maybe Kevin Durant leaves Golden State.
Yeah.
Maybe Draymond Green leaves maybe the Golden State thing doesn't last as long as some people think it will. If they're able to get him another player, say Jimmy Butler or any number of the guys
who looks just like Michael Jordan,
the free agent market next year to come out there with him. I think this is going to be just kind of the cherry on top for the LeBron legacy.
Is L.A. Laker basketball at 10:20 tip-off must-see TV in the East?
If you can stay up that late.
You going to watch some Laker games this year, though? I mean, obviously you're going to watch the ones that are on 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon or on Christmas Day. But
yeah. Well, yeah.
There'll be more of them on, too.
They're going to be on national TV like 25 times.
Yeah. You'll have plenty of chances.
In the East, my 8th seed, I've got the Charlotte Hornets in 8.
I would go as high as 7 with them. We had them in 6th seed last year, I think. We were wrong.
I kind of went back and forth. I think this is one of those years where seeds 6, 7, and 8, like a couple years ago when they got in, they could be separated by
2 games.
A game.
Yeah.
2 games.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really cluttered at the bottom. I've got Charlotte at 8 because I think They might be the most underrated team in basketball. It's my opinion. I think the Hornets are going to be pretty good. In 7, I've got the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're in the East. I just have a hard time coming up with somebody else that's going to knock them out. They still got veteran guys.
Somebody's going to be there.
Cleveland's going to get back in. In 6, I've got Washington. And I've got Washington and Charlotte. Miami just on the outside. One of those 3 is going to get left out. Washington, you know where Dwight Howard?
So you're kind of expecting the Hornets to finish second in that division then.
Do you know where Dwight Howard landed?
I do not.
He landed in Washington. A locker room that's already got chemistry issues and has had them for years, and this might be the thing that just completely blows that thing up there.
And the Wizards kind of like, man, this is starting to become a theme here. So we got Boston, right?
Uh-huh.
Can you think of any other underperforming sports franchises in the nation's capital? Have the Nationals really exceeded expectations? And we'll just avoid that other one for right now. But yeah, so the Washington Wizards are a better team than they are, but that's over, right? They're not. They're just not.
I think the winner in the Southeast Division, I think you could win the Southeast Division with 43 wins.
I agree with you. Yeah,
so I've got
absolutely.
Washington in 6, Milwaukee at 5. I've got the Philadelphia 76ers at 4. Philadelphia went on like a 16 or 18 game win streak
seems low.
At the very end of the year. They went on that win streak, and I feel like kind of padded the numbers a little bit. They beat Miami in the first round.
So you're saying the Atlanta Hawks are not going to make the playoffs? Because you surely don't have them at the 3 seed.
No. If you haven't heard the Hawks by now, you're not going to. The 76ers, they beat the Heat in the first round. They got Boston in the second round, and it just seemed like every game they would do something boneheaded.
Yeah.
Cost them.
Yeah.
And like I said, they had the big winning streak.
Young team,
young team, but in my opinion, padded the numbers. Philadelphia's probably going to an NBA Finals pretty soon, but I guess they may see some regression back. In 3, I've got Indiana, the surprise of the league last year. Didn't lose anything. They go out and add Doug McDermott. They add Kyle O'Quinn, just kind of solidifying that locker room. That's a good culture up there. I think Indiana's going to have a big year. In 2, I've got Toronto. Look, they won 61 games.
They were the 1 seed.
They were a 1 seed last year, and they added Kawhi Leonard. It's hard for me to envision them dropping 15 or 16 games.
Whatever else Kawhi does, he's not going to cause issues in the locker room.
No, and finally at number 1, call me, just like everybody else, I've got Boston.
Yeah,
Boston at 1.
I would definitely agree with you there. The only thing I'd probably take issue, I think the 76ers are going to be a little higher seed than you're giving them credit. I think Toronto might drop off a little.
Yeah.
I think that playoff run might have been a little humbling. I think that's maybe harder to recover from something like that. Not everybody is the Buffalo Bills, okay? We'll see. We'll see.
All right. In the Eastern Conference Finals, I've got Boston over Indiana, and I've got Golden State over Houston in the West.
Well, I've got Boston over Philadelphia, and I've got the Rockets over Golden State.
Oh,
how about
pulled
that?
The trigger on it.
How about that?
Okay.
I'm wrong, but I'm interesting. I'm putting a lot of chips into the series last year, and it could have been a fluke. But everybody knows what happened. Everybody knows what could have happened. Everybody knows what probably should have happened.
Yeah.
So I think.
What's your take on them adding Carmelo Anthony?
I don't know that in the long run it has a lot of impact. Carmelo, he's good for 12 to 15 points a game.
I think it's a perfect fit.
It certainly doesn't hurt.
I think it's perfect because they're not going to do anything but stand out there and bomb threes, which is exactly what he wants to do anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's going to fit like a glove out there.
I think he'll be happy.
Oh, he was smiling like a Cheshire cat after the game the other night. I like the pickup. I know everybody's dumping on Carmelo, but I think that's a good pickup. I think losing
Carmelo's fine if you use him for what he can do.
I think the thing that could derail your Houston pick, they let Trevor Ariza walk. He goes to Phoenix. Luke Mbamute left. So there goes there kind of goes your defensive guys. You didn't have many of them, and you let your 2 best ones leave.
Maybe that's just admitting that we're playing in the Big 12 out there and that there isn't any defense.
And shocker, surprise, surprise, I've got the Warriors winning 3 in a row, 4 and 5. They're going to beat the Boston Celtics for the NBA title.
Tell me if this doesn't sound entirely believable, though. The Rockets pull off the miracle, right? Mm-hmm. They beat Golden State in 7 games and then get destroyed by the Celtics in the finals. I think that's what happens.
I can see it. Just kind of getting over the hump, and
you
then
get
after
over that hump, and you can't maintain the intensity. And the Celtics, who have had a much easier road to the finals than anybody that comes out of the West.
Oh yeah,
right?
Oh yeah,
they're fresh, and they win it.
All right, so BG's got the Celtics winning it. I've got the Golden State Warriors winning it. I know everyone pick your jaws up off the floor. I know you were shocked at that one.
Well, sometimes you just want to be right. I mean, I get it.
Well, we did that last year, and I think we wound up with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
No, that was not
winning.
The premise. The premise was we had to pick somebody other than Golden State and Cleveland, so we both knew what was going to happen. You just think the Timberwolves have fallen off the side of the earth then, right?
Well, I just don't know where they fit in, though.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if I'm going to take New Orleans with Anthony Davis, and I believe in Pop in San Antonio and Denver, I mean, I don't have Portland. I don't have Portland in.
You're right.
I mean, somebody's got to stay home. And
Minnesota didn't quite. Wouldn't you love to just? I mean, I think it's coming, man. I think the whole NBA playoff thing's going to get blown up in the next 4 or 5 years.
I agree. I think they're going
Adam
1 through
Silver
16.
knows it. Yeah,
I think they're going 1 through 16 soon.
Yep.
All right, that's it for episode 68. We hope you have enjoyed our expert takes on the upcoming NBA season. We're about 2 weeks away. Very excited. Can't wait. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at The Border War. Check out there. You'll be able to find tweets from BG and myself. Follow us on Facebook. Share our post. Do not let our wonderful podcast go unheard. We reach thousands of people every month. Make sure you're one of those folks.
Well, if they're listening, they are one of those folks, right?
Well, then they need to.
Otherwise they can't hear us.
Then they need to tell more people about it.
Tell people.